Gnomes do control. Don't play. Just turn my phone off twice. This recording is going to be the beginning. Why? First, the motherfucker hit do not disturb. Turn the video off. A lot of times I think, oh, maybe I didn't hit record, so it stops. Because it'll leave the camera mode. Yeah, it will. It will. But that's not what's going on. That's not what's happening here. So watch the rest of this video and you'll see how to develop your attention's attention. Because you need that. You need to notice dually. Because you're not getting out of the polarity of 3D without having to mind fuck yourself. You're gonna have to mind fuck yourself with your big mind dick.
Said hello, and the Cassiopeians say hello. Said, do you have any messages for us? And they say, keep doing what comes naturally. And they ask, in what respect? And they say, study. They say, what is your name? And they reply, Mukpior, whatever, some weird name.
Mukbang.
Yeah? Are you from another planet? They said, alien from your perspective, yes. They say, what is your group called? They say, Corsa. Where are you from? And they say, Cassiopeia. Where is that? And they say, near Orion. And then they ask, I heard that the Orions are the bad guys. Are you the Orion group bad? And I'm going to stop right there for a second and read something from Ra. Because Ra says, when Ra was asked a question, they said, these entities are in the dimension known to you as fourth. Therefore, the space-time continua is not compatible. An approximation of the space-time location of each would net no actual understanding. Anyway, the important part here is the Ra says Orion group one in what you call as Cassiopeia. So they say that, sorry, let me go back. I'm going to have to edit this out because I didn't mean to read that whole thing. So let me back up. So that last question, they said, I heard that Orions are the bad guys. Are the Orion group bad? That was a question that they asked while they were channeling. And in the Ra material, when Ra was asked a question about that area, the Orion group, they said, each choose a fourth density planet which was dedicated to the pursuit of the understanding of the law of one through service to self. One in which what you know as Orion group, one in which you know as Cassiopeia. So Ra states, Ra states in that area, Orion and Cassiopeia are service to self realms. So that's what I'm trying to get here. So in this first channeling, they state that they're near Orion in Cassiopeia.
For the people who are new to this, so in the Law of One, so that's Ra, they're talking to this entity, sixth density entity named Ra, and they said that these groups, Orion, Cassiopeia, which are star constellations, Cassiopeia is a star constellation, they are service to self, fourth density negative. So they would be what we would call demons or Lizzies, whatever vocabulary word. Then years later, decades later, they're on the board, Laura and Frank, and they ask these people, these entities, who are you? And they say they're Cassiopeian. They're from Cassiopeia. So we already know, if we have a background in the Law of One, that we've already been given information by Ra that this is a fourth density negative constellation. Now, again, you can still learn stuff. Like, as our contact says, you can still learn stuff from the negatives. Like, it's not bad to talk to them. You can still get information from them, but you just have to know who you're talking to.
Right. Yeah, and they could give you the 99% clear, truthful information. It's the small 1% that tweaks the whole thing. And so that's why you have to be really careful. Yeah.
That's why it's important to understand the template of the Law of One, the nuances of the Law of One, to understand spirituality, so that you have that sovereign power to be able to take the information in and have discernment over what they're telling you.
Yeah. So after they asked about the bad guys being an Orion, which they pretty much came forward and said, yeah,
That's us.
we're bad. Right. So they said, and they ask, do you serve self or others? Instead of just coming out and saying, we serve others, they say, I serve both. Yeah. But that's not the kicker here, because that comes later. They say, what is your philosophy? And they say, one. And then it starts to go on, and they ask, what are you here for tonight? And they say, prophecy. And they ask, what prophecies? And then they go on to talk about tornadoes, Florida, several. Also, Texas and Alabama. When? And they say, when the sun is in Libra. What planet are you from? Corsica. What else is going to happen? Seattle burns, Japan buckles, Missouri shakes, California crumbles, Arizona burns. And then they go on for many questions, just talking about all these catastrophes. And then they even go further into all sorts of like really dark stuff about mutilation and bodies being recycled and okay, yeah, I'll be careful with that. Yeah. They go through all of this other dark stuff, doom and gloom. And so we're going to stop there for a second, and we're going to go back to the raw material, because in the raw material they give a warning.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me read this whole thing. So in the raw material, the questioner, is it possible for an entity to be so confused as to call both the Confederation, service to others, and the Orion Group, service to self, in an alternating way? And so they're asking about channeling. Could someone be so confused to channel, think they're channeling one, but really channeling the other? Yeah? And Ra states, it is entirely possible for the untuned channel to receive both positive and negative communications. If the entity is oriented towards service to others, the entity will begin to receive messages of doom. If the entity is oriented towards service to self, the crusaders, which are service to self, who in this case do not find it necessary to lie, which they're saying lie, what they really mean is manipulate.
Yeah.
Yeah. They will simply begin to give the philosophy they are here to give. Say, many of your so-called contacts among your people have been confused and self-destructive because the channels were oriented towards service to others, but were open to the lying information of the crusaders, who then were able to neutralize the effectiveness of the channel. So they're warning, Frank, I think, being service to others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in my opinion, Laura being service to self at this point. She may have not been at the very beginning of this, who knows? But at this point, through all the actions and stuff that I've been reading about, anyway. So they say, if service to others were to sit down and start channeling, and they didn't have the correct knowledge of how to channel correctly and ask the right questions, first thing they'll do is the service to self contact will insert a bunch of doom, which is exactly what happened here.
What they did.
So at the very beginning the very beginning of the first session of the transcripts, they've already said that they were from, the Cassiopeians were from Orion and Cassiopeia, which the raw material have already stated that are oriented towards service to self, fourth density service to self. Yeah. And then raw material also said, if a service to others channeler starts to channel service to self, one of the first things they're going to do is start to insert catastrophe stuff, doom and gloom, which started from the very beginning of the first channel of the Cassiopeian material. Also, every time that the Cassiopeians are channeled, it's a different individual.
Yes,
so you have to understand, so you have to understand the structure of fourth density service to self and fourth density service to others. Fourth density service to others, if you were to channel fourth density service to others, it's always going to be the same group, because they form a social memory complex, and you're going to talk to the whole, which are going to be represented by whatever name they want to give you. but that would be consistent. Like, think about the raw material.
It's always I am raw.
I am raw, over and over. I am raw. Now, I have my issues with the law of one, and we're going to get into that some other time. But for simplicity's sake, every time
difference here.
Right. Every time the raw material is channeled, it's always raw. Every time the Cassiopeia material is channeled, it's always a different person. So you start to understand the structure of service to self. Service to self cannot create a social memory complex because service to self don't cooperate with one another.
Yeah, they individuate.
Exactly.
It's a pecking order. They have a pecking order on service to self. Service to others doesn't. It's a social memory complex. You're speaking to many consciousness into one that gives you one name all the time. But in service to self, they individuate.
Right. Yeah. So it's that simple. And so Laura would say knowledge protects, and you want to keep refining your knowledge and critical thinking and discernment. But where's the discernment in the Cassiopeia material? Because really, every time you sit down at the board, whoever you get, you should always ask, even if the entity that comes, or the social memory complex comes with the same name, you would still want to confirm your channel, because either side can lie. Service itself, service.
So it's funny because the material this guy is with her here to talk about, and the lady, he is actually a relative to her, or cousin or something like this. This Knight lady, Laura Knight or whatever the fuck, and they're watching it like it's fucking like they're in the stands at a game, and they're saying overtime she became negative, and they're breaking it down. But this is one thing in this is true, and this is I don't want to listen to them anymore, because I'm like, why are you telling me information? I don't want to hear any information from the Cassiopeian group. They've proven that why that is, how they do differently communicate through fourth density up, which I wasn't too sure about and tried to find out, so I have got verification. And no, so I just wouldn't listen to any of that. In fact, next time I hear them mention any Cassiopeian group, I'm just going to stop watching right then and there. I know about the insertion of doom and gloom. I tried to look up the damn triangle of fucking manifestation. I got a triangle of doom, and I got a triangle of pain in the stomach area. And that all corresponds, because like you have to use a lot of energy to manifest, not doom or pain or gloom. You can do it creatively, but if any more time is wasted in the wrong direction, I mean, you could pull the brake thing on the train, and it's going to take you a while for that thing to come to a stop. This is the same fucking shit. Pull the fucking brake miles back.